If you had told me back when I was in college that I would be building a personal brand to generate money online and quitting my corporate job to do so, I would probably tell you that you're crazy. So I used to play university basketball and my whole identity was wrapped up in being an athlete. My days revolved around like practice, games, and trying to balance out my athletics with my school. The absolute last thing on my mind was trying to build a personal brand and generate income and make it my full-time career. I'm not gonna lie, for the longest time, I thought that I would be a professional basketball player. And then when it came down to it, things changed, priorities changed, and my life took a different direction. But the whole time, there was always this nagging feeling that I had in the back of my mind. So even best case scenario, basketball ends at some point, and I couldn't stop dreading the feeling of having to work a 9-to-5 job. The thought of spending 40 plus years working on somebody else's dream, it drove me insane. To be honest, I feared that more than I feared missing a game-winning shot. So I started experimenting. And like most entrepreneurs, my journey was not a straight line. I tried everything from drop shipping to freelancing, building websites, photography, you name it. I created content that nobody saw and invested thousands of dollars into business models that gave me no returns. But in January of 2021, I bought the most basic camera I could find on Amazon and I started a YouTube channel. So I was watching YouTube videos my whole life, more than I was watching Netflix and more than I was watching TV and pretty much anything else. So one day I literally just decided to start. There wasn't any type of planning or strategy. It was literally just me picking up a camera and trying to make videos like the people that I watched online. And I sucked at it. My first video was terrible. My next video was also terrible. I actually made a YouTube video and I used it to submit it to a program that my university was offering. And now looking back at it, I can't believe I did that. And honestly, no wonder that I didn't get into that program. But I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But making YouTube videos, if you take out sponsorships and money and everything in that, it gave me something I really wasn't expecting. I was able to put myself out there. The fear that people have of putting something out there or posting something that other people might call them cringe for, that is not something I struggle with, and I attribute a lot of that to making YouTube videos. It gave me a platform where I could express my thoughts, share my values, my perspectives, and really just document things from a camera's point of view. And to be honest, I think that's pretty cool. Okay, but let's get tactical about making money online because I know that that is a big reason that a lot of you guys are looking into content creation and social media. So the traditional sense of making money is to get a job. And to get a job, you have to apply to one with a resume. They review it. If you are qualified, you go through a series of interviews. Then if you pass those, you might get the job and then you can make money. And for most people, that is the only path that comes to mind when somebody says, go make money. The idea of making money online is a foreign concept and people only see it in the lens of consumption. So you are consuming the content, but a lot of people don't have a roadmap of how to get there. Well, I'd like to challenge your belief system and introduce social media to you as your new resume. Fundamentally, all a resume is something that attracts people to give you money. And social media can be treated the same way. If you create content, eventually over time, you will build an audience. And with this audience comes leverage. Leverage is because you can now influence people's behavior. And that opens up 3 sources of income for you. Brand sponsorship, and this is where other brands will pay you to advertise their products. Your own business, in which you can funnel your audience into any form of business that you run or want to run. And lastly, platform monetization. This is the least important, but for example, YouTube will give you money because of the ads that run before and during your videos. So you can generate money without a traditional job. And to a lot of people, this is the dream. Building a business that generates them money to live off while being able to work at any time, from anywhere, travel, and have time freedom. To not be a slave of the traditional 9-to-5. And this is why you need to understand leverage, as we mentioned before. Social media is one of the highest leverage activities that you can do because it is pretty much infinitely scalable. It's free if you have a smartphone, and it's applicable to almost any business model. And I think the big misconception is that you can actually get paid, and quite a bit, even if you don't have a big following. So for example, I'll just give you my personal story, and I don't mean to show off or anything, but I say this just because I want you to know what's possible. I quit my full-time job to go all in on social media with 3,000 Instagram followers. And that's because I knew how to leverage that follower count. I sold out a full drop of my clothing brand, generating 5 figures in 24 hours as a small creator. So how can you apply this to yourself? Let's say you have a high ticket offer of $1,000 and you only have 1,000 followers. But if those followers are the right people because you've attracted the right type of people to your account, let's say 5 of them buy. That's $5,000 a month. To a lot of people, that is enough to quit your job with, to be honest. Those 1,000 people need to be aligned with your values, with your offer, and need to be the exact target that you're going for. So this is a separate video in itself about offer generation and how you can start monetizing in a big way. And I have a lot of thoughts on this because I've personally done it for myself. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed and just let me know. Okay, but back to why you need to be creating content online. If you don't already have a business, it's the perfect time to start. If you do already have a business, it is the perfect time to start. So you have advantages on both sides. If you don't have a business yet, but you start creating content, you get to build an audience that resonates with your character, with your personality, and with your content. And then when you do have an idea for a business, maybe it's a product or a service, you already have a group of people that can be potential customers. They're basically like warm leads. People buy from people that they like. And chances are, if you have a strong following with high engagement, you can funnel that into paying customers. On the other hand, if you already do have a business, you already know what value you provide. You know your customer avatar, you know exactly about your target demographics, and then you just use that as the base for your content. It's basically like reverse engineering, but you've done all the work. You create content for your ideal client and your buyer, and then you scale using social media. I actually have a free newsletter that talks about all this in a deeper way. It's absolutely free. I just want to provide you value. It's going to be linked down below in the description, so check that out. But okay, now you know that you should be creating content. So how do you actually start? This is very, very simple. You take your phone out, you record yourself talking about something that you've told your friends, okay? And then you use CapCut or Instagram edits to take out all the pauses, and then you post it. Your first post doesn't need to be perfect. Let me say it again. Your first post does not need to be perfect. It just needs to be posted. A lot of people think that their first post needs to be very well planned out or thought out, or, it has to be very good because they want to set the stage for their account. The truth is, no one will watch it, and it will probably be shit. But every single content creator that you see has started off with a shit first post. No one watched it. And that's how it's supposed to be. So you get the reps out of the way as fast as possible, because I'm telling you, creating online has never been easier. And if you want more help one-on-one with that, just let me know in the comments, shoot me a message. I'm going to try to help you out in the best way that I can. The moral of this video is that please start posting. Your social media is your new resume. You can attract brands that want to work with you, monetization from platforms, as well as funnel people into an existing business or have the opportunity to start a business with a good audience base. So please just get started. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. You don't need to set the stage with the perfect post. Post shit videos until you get good at it. That's the secret. The shortcut is that you post and you post and you post and you post and you post, and eventually you get good at it. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Aryan. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.